So much for making time to speak to us. First of all, amazing work you're doing right here in Ghana, especially in empowering teachers to be able to play their role as the frontliners. But I want to hear your thoughts. What do you take or what do you make of the ADEA Triennale 2025 so far?
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. It's great to see so many ministers and important people and practitioners from all across Africa coming together to discuss finding African solutions to the issues that we're facing. And I think it's actually very inspiring. And I'm proud that as an adopted Ghanaian, we're seeing so much best practice that Ghana is able to share with the rest of the world. And of course, our cuisine and culture as well. So yes, it's a great experience so far.
At the plenary session this morning, a very important theme was at play, and that was financing education. And every time we walk around the continent, we meet young people, and the question we've always asked ourselves is, are we really doing the right thing? Are we doing enough to finance their future through education? What would be your answer to that? Is there any gap, and what are those gaps that you see that we need to fix in terms of finance education?
Well, I think if you look at countries like Sierra Leone, they've realized that the key to economic development is investing in education and quality education. The difficulty if you're a country that has quite a low income base is how do you start? How do you ensure that you're getting that quality, that work readiness? And actually, I know as ALADI, storytelling is your big thing. I think to make a case to the public, we need to move beyond numbers and percentages. Often when we talk about financing or we talk about educational improvements, it can become quite dry. So it's about how can you use a narrative to explain that if you invest in somebody now, in 10, 20 years' time, they're going to be starting the next entrepreneurial business, helping to grow the country's economy. So that's why I think the power of individual stories to tell a collective, to set a collective vision for a nation is really important. And I don't think we're doing enough of that when it comes to education financing and communicating to the general public.
Right. And so if you were to send a clarion call to everyone involved, partners, those within the policy-making space, private sector players, what is it that you want them to do now, and what is the risk if we delay to act?
I would say they need to look at funding nationally led, nationally owned education systems, focusing on curricula which talk about national values, national pride. Give young people a sense of belonging. In Africa, we have far too many young people who've grown up with this innate sense of inferiority because they've been through an education system set by my ancestors, the British or by the French, that makes them feel somehow inferior. So let's look at all coming together, doing what we can to promote Indigenous knowledge, Indigenous learning, and financing that. So we have young people who are proud of their country. There was a minister who did a great quote. He said, the purpose of education is not to train lawyers and doctors and engineers. It is to train honest citizens who love their country. Because if a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer isn't honest and they don't love their country, what use are they to my nation's development? So that is what we need. We need people coming together, nationally led solutions.
Right. Before I let you go, what would success look like for ADEA Triennale 2025? If you were to go back home and then sit back and say, we actually succeeded, what would that success look like?
I think success looks like partnerships between countries. It looks at linkages. So already speaking to Sierra Leone, there's some things that they're doing there that we're not doing in Ghana. So how can we come together, learn from them, learn from each other, so together we have a truly Pan-African solution. We're here in the home of Kwame Nkrumah, and Nkrumahism still lives, and that's what I think success would look like. Joint solutions. Thank you.
You've been featured in the upcoming documentary series, Education Transforming Lives, Transforming Africa. What is your expectation out of this documentary series? What message do you have for the general public as they look out for this documentary series to come out?
Yeah, well, I hope that, Eugene, that the documentary series starts to address one of the issues I was telling before. This is all about storytelling. You've been telling very, very compelling stories that are humanizing these systems levels issues. So I feel everybody should watch it, and they should be able to look at this, see themselves, see their communities, and see how investing in these things is really going to lead to generational change.